Good evening and welcome to the Footy Corner. I'm Sparks. Welcome in. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you're hitting the like and the subscribe and comments wherever it shows up for you on the screen, and we'll get to it whenever I see the notification. We got another couple of guests for you that obviously been on before. Callum did his first show back with us Tuesday, so he's back again. Got some crazy numbers for you by all accounts. For your agenda merchants, welcome in, Callum. How are we?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to hearing what agenda we're going to take apart today.
Well, I thought you were taking apart agendas rather than me. To be
the Odegaard one.
Yeah. That one. That's I heard you had some numbers for it. But yeah, there we go. We'll get into that. And we've got Mark Dunning. How are we, mate?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, welcome anytime, my friend. Anytime at all. Let's start with the game last night.
If we have to.
Well, I mean, we have to because that's kind of what we're reviewing. So, that's kind of what we do here, innit? In the absence of guests from other teams, which we are looking for as well, we have to talk about just Arsenal. So it's kind of kind of where we're at. But yeah, what was your takes on last night, Mark? And would you have done anything differently?
Yeah, just very, very flat. Very little urgency to the team. Is what I felt. Would they have done anything different in terms of team selection? Probably not, because our options aren't exactly plentiful. When you look what came off the bench, okay, you could have started Wanyeri maybe ahead of Sterling, but other than that, I'm not really sure what options you have. The two centre backs are what we have. Ben White's injured, Gabriel's injured, Tomiyasu's injured, so they are playing a lot of minutes at the moment, which isn't ideal. But we don't really have a whole pile of options. Once Ben White's injured, we have to pick Timber. Obviously he rested. Hopefully he rested Marino last night, because he wasn't even in the squad. So hopefully there's nothing going to come there that we don't want to hear. But yeah, in terms of team selection, I don't think we had a hell of a lot of options. Other maybe Wanyeri had a Sterling or pick and Saka from the start, but that was kind of it really. Our hands are fairly tied at the moment in terms of team selection.
Yeah, I think Saka being in the squad was purely to get him back into some kind of groove, isn't it? After his injury, to try and strengthen him up a bit, rather than to make an impact. I don't think they even really passed the ball to him as such. He got put through on a couple of occasions, but there wasn't anything major, was there? It was kind of
no.
Yeah, it was kind of there to make up numbers.
Made a good save. That was it.
Yeah. There was a decent cross in there, wasn't there? But it was a bit. As you say, it was a little bit flat, a little bit whatever. But it's kind of what we expected, wasn't it?
I think so.
What did I say on Tuesday? I said it's going to be a really boring game with rubbish football, and it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, and on that kind of thing, obviously, there were loads of tickets on the exchange, and there were loads of tickets about and whatnot. But I got in the stadium, and to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a lot more empty than it was.
Yeah.
So, obviously there's a ruling now with the season tickets that you have to have a certain amount of allocation, and if you don't sell your ticket, even if your ticket doesn't get sold, it still has to be taken. So, obviously that is working.
If we're just thinking, if there's someone who wants to buy it, this is a game I don't mind missing, and if not, well, turn up anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, that was kind of my perception as well, but that's purely because it's a midweek game and it's a nightmare for me to get to midweek games. I ended up driving up and parking close by to the ground, so it's like, well, okay, that's fine. I have parking, which is I'm not sure I would do that if I didn't have a parking space that was essentially free and and readily available. So but yeah, I do know people that park further out and then tube in and stuff like that. I just don't see the point, you know. I only do that if the trains are messing around and such like. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we took the lead twice and they drew level twice.
Yeah.
What did you make of the? I guess you watched it on TV, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they show the light display?
The Palace on their mobile phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. They did. Yeah.
I mean, what did you make of that?
Not much. It's kind of like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, that's exactly
What's
why I
this
was
all
there.
about?
I was like, are we 4-0 down or something? I mean, they were chanting, "You only came to see the Palace," and I'm very confused. I mean, I've watched.
But also, it didn't feel like the Palace players were that up for it either. There were periods where they kind of went for it, but mostly they had their eye on the cup game on the weekend as well. They were sort of like, we'll have a go in moments, and then we'll sort of back off again. So it wasn't like they came and played really well. They scored a couple of good goals. The second goal in particular was an excellent finish. But otherwise, it was just a bit of a nothing game from both sides. Like, if I was a supporter of Palace, I wouldn't be thinking, "Oh wow, we're so good! What a brilliant performance!" It was all very lackluster all around, really.
But that's what the light display kind of showed me, that's what they thought, isn't it? Or were they just mocking? What was it? I don't
know, because their X or Twitter account afterwards tweeted, something about you can thank us, Liverpool, or do you know what I mean? Yeah, like something along those lines. And it was like, what, do you think this is like a big result, managing to get a draw in a game that neither of us particularly care about?
Yeah. So what they're basically saying that cost us the title.
Well, as if they've handed it to Liverpool. It's like it was going to happen one of these games anyway.
No, I mean, I've watched a few channels today, and I've got to say that some of the nonsense that people speak is just baffling to me.
Yeah.
So I've got one in particular is a Forest fan, right? And he's basically saying you disrespect your fans and disrespect this, that, and the other by putting a weekend side out. And I'm like, we're going for the Champions League.
Yeah.
See, I've heard
we
this
didn't put a weekend side out either.
Yeah, I've heard people saying this same thing where they sort of go, "Oh, but the match-going fans, they've paid to go there. It's disgraceful that this is so bad." On the one hand, it was pretty bad even for a game that we sort of thought was going to be a bit of a non-event. But on the other hand, anyone who's a fan knows what this season is all about, really. At this stage, we know that the league is gone. We'd like to stay where we are in second, get some points on the board to make sure that happens. But it's about the Champions League. And no fan is going to be sitting there going, "Oh, why didn't we play our best side and go hell for leather against Crystal Palace to get those 3 points to make sure we secured second slightly sooner than we otherwise probably will." If Saka gets injured because he pulls a muscle because he's sprinting to try and, catch a Crystal Palace player, or, we make it into a more aggressive battle in midfield and Rice pulls up with an injury. Those same people will be going, "Arteta, what a fool! Why would he play that team? Why do we play so intensely when we know that there just seems to be a subsection who want to look for what's the negative perspective and just pick that as being the view."
I agree, and I think it's total madness.
100%.
I think it's total madness, and you know what I think it is, particularly with the Forest fan, right? I think it's because they can't rest players. I think it's because
they kind of have what they have, and
because they have to do the FA Cup game and they have to go full strength, and they have to do the league games, and they have to be full strength, because if they
it
don't,
would be gutting for them if they lost Champions League after the season they've had. If they were to now mess up in the league,
yeah, for sure. I mean, and
would be,
anybody that's been there for that
That's a
duration
god,
of time, and then you drop out of it, it's like us last year with the title. We were there for a duration of time, and it was gutting. It was bottling that we didn't hold on to it from that point of view.
That's it. The other side, from a Forest point of view in particular, is they might not get this chance again. Like,
Well, that's the other thing.
There's
isn't
every
it?
chance they won't find themselves in third spot with 4 or 5 games to go for the foreseeable future.
Well,
so they have to grasp it right now.
But this same guy was basically saying, and it might still happen, I guess, that they're going to finish above us because they don't have European football.
They're definitely not going to finish above us. It's not going to happen.
I mean,
we're going to get second.
I mean, there's still the possibility, right? That we have to take it on the merit that
there is the
that
possibility.
Is possible.
There is the possibility. It's not going to happen.
Well, they have. I was going to say they have a game in hand, but they don't.
Do they not? We played last night, so
yeah, they have a game in hand over Man City, but they don't have a game in hand over us. Now we have to play Liverpool and Newcastle, don't we?
Yeah, and then Bournemouth and Southampton.
Bournemouth's in between the two PSG games.
Yeah, then Newcastle, Liverpool, and finish with Southampton.
Yeah, we finished with Southampton. So I think personally we only need 3 points.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest play City up next.
So they play City.
Yeah, so one of them. Oh no, that's the FA Cup game, isn't it? They're against.
That's a cup game on Saturday or Sunday.
Their last game of the season is Chelsea, so one of them's dropping points there.
Yes, I knew they had a game against someone in that battle. It's Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah, don't they play Newcastle as well, or they've done
that? No, they've got.
Don't think Brentford,
Palace, Leicester, West Ham, and Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean Chelsea and even West Ham are potential banana skins for that. In my opinion,
Palace, depending on what Palace's mindset is like after.
Yeah, but I mean,
semi-final goals.
Yeah, the thing is, that's going to be a kind of bite off anyway, isn't it? Because it's going to be like a case of they're both going to be sitting about like waiting for the other one to attack, aren't they?
Yeah,
if anything,
two counter punchers.
Yeah, if last night's anything to go by, anyway.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just found it. I find it a bit crazy that nobody kind of adds the context. When it's us sort of thing. It's just baffling to me, to be honest.
My favourite word when I'm talking about Arsenal with people is context. Everyone misses the context. They just see the face story, and that's the line they're going with. There's no what was the reason for that, or why is that what's going on. It's just immediately, oh yeah, there's a good easy way to attack the club. We'll run with that.
Yeah. Just every fan base wants to see us fail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every fan base, and it's I have to be honest, it's quite boring. I find it quite boring. I find it just jarring, and it's just going into a certain amount of hype that's just generated by the media.
Yeah, I think with the top teams, it's also the case that we have been a rival to a league, kind of in the league to lots of these teams at some point in the last 10, 20 years. So there's something for the top teams at least to kind of bubble around with and have some kind of. It seems very forced and over the top, I think, with City fans or Liverpool fans. Not gonna lie.
Well, it's like a love affair, that is, isn't it? I seen a picture. I don't know if you've seen it, but where there's a Liverpool fan sat on a chair and a City fan with his missus, and they're going, "Yeah, go on, crack on."
Yeah, it blows my mind that for so many years they've basically been competing for the title. And just to really love each other and are happy for the. Like if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm sitting there going,
"They've stopped us."
yeah, we're supposed to be the club of values, and we're supposed to be all about we don't spend as much as everyone. They're literally the oil kings of the world. They
exactly.
break every rule.
They're
They
the opposite of
stand
everything we stand
you
for.
don't.
Yeah.
But you are like, yeah, we're just happy to be their buddies. It's such a nice run-in with them. They come up against us on a year where we're not really at it and it's not really a title race. And they're just hell for leather attack us non-stop.
It's just mad. I just don't. And the other one, the other narrative that kind of goes around is the the guard of honor, right? So every YouTuber, every Liverpool YouTuber, I'm going on online to, says that we've got all Arsenal fans, right? All Arsenal fans. I'll tell you what. Right, there's 13 people watching, right? So yeah, hopefully they can share this out to somebody else. But yeah, maybe I'm the one Arsenal fan, but we'll find out from the other two in a minute. But maybe I'm the only Arsenal fan that wants the Guard of Honor to happen, because I actually want it to spur on my team to basically put some fire in their belly and go, right, okay, we had to do that Guard of Honor this year. Make sure next year
never again.
Yeah, I also don't. The concept of the Guard of Honor is you're essentially showing respect to the people who have just won the title. I don't really. Everyone seems to think it's this disrespectful thing to whoever has to do it. It's about showing respect.
It's a humiliation type thing. Yeah,
now,
now,
obviously, if it was a total stain of a club and it had no values and it had no this, that, and the other, then yes, I probably would have an issue with it.
If it was Tottenham,
If it was Tottenham, if it was Tottenham, I'd definitely have an issue with it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. So
we'll never have to worry
are we
about
saying
that.
then that Liverpool are trying to turn themselves into Tottenham? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we just said? Because that's kind of what you're doing. We don't care.
Yeah.
I personally want to do the Guard of Honor, because it shows class for a start off. And I want it to put fire in my team's bellies.
Yeah, they should be
the right thing to
next
do.
year. That's got to be us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
they also say it as though we've never done it before.
Yeah,
and we've never received one either, which is total nonsense on both counts.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's absolutely baffling. But yeah, that's just going off on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on. I don't know, and I wasn't even thinking anything of this because I completely went by it when I was in the stadium. Neil, the guy sat next to me, basically said to me, "They've disallowed it for that. What does that even show?"
Yeah.
And I only saw a snapshot because I wasn't even looking at the screen, but I saw the image. I didn't really analyze the image, and I don't know if you've seen the image. But the VAR from the ruled out goal.
Yep.
I saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and this was supposed to be conclusive.
Yeah,
have you seen it? Have you seen?
I've not seen it since it came up on the game, so I've not looked.
Oh,
okay,
okay. So you saw it live, but you haven't seen the.
Yeah, and seeing it live, it sort of looked, and at first I went, "Oh, it's in," and then they sort of said, "Oh, look, you can see clearly it's out," and I went, "Oh, maybe it is, but not." It's through the net,
it's not
behind the post.
Yeah,
not the clearest image, and then it moved on, and so I thought, "Oh, maybe it was."
Yeah, it wasn't definitive. Definitely not. But the problem was the linesman was totally out of position, so he couldn't call it. So then the VAR just decided to guess and go, "I'll guess that it's out of play."
Yeah, but the VAR flagged for offside.
The lino flagged for offside.
The lino, the lino flagged for offside.
Yeah.
So he's called it offside.
Yeah.
And VAR said it wasn't offside.
No, he definitely
wasn't.
Offside.
It was 3 yards. It was about 3 yards.
Yeah.
But as you say, the linesman's so far away.
He couldn't keep up with play
He's
at
in a
all.
terrible position.
See where's
Yeah, he was shocking all night, actually.
What I've liked more about that is something which loads of people will ignore because it now won't go down onto the score sheet. But the movement from Martinelli into the middle of the box to finish that.
Yeah.
Recently, he keeps making that run from outside in.
Yeah, for sure.
When we've got an attack going on, he's finding himself in that centre forward role. And I don't know if it's just because we've had Marino, whether he's been going, well, I'll occupy the space. But over and over again, he's finding himself right there ready to score. And
I think he was supposed to be doing that all along, to be honest.
Yeah.
I actually think he was supposed to be doing that all along, but he just hasn't been.
And now he's starting to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's a few games in a row where he's found himself where he's just, Cross has just missed him, or he scored the goal against Ipswich, or he's scored the disallowed one against Palace. And it's all from a very similar movement, little run into the centre forward space, within the confusion. And I thought it was a brilliant little bit of play. And one of those things that go, because it doesn't get tallied up as a goal, sort of just will get ignored and brushed. You think, okay, it doesn't count anyway. But actually, excellent bit of play. And had the ball been called in, I think it was yet another kind of step in the Martinelli redemption arc.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it gets lost on Arsenal fans. I think it just gets lost on the ones that don't necessarily go to games and just read media stuff. And it's kind of a hype thing, isn't it? But
the ones that say if there's not a G or an A next to it, it doesn't count as a real stat.
Again, that's jarring, isn't it? I was trying to have conversations, and it's like, oh, well, he's got such and such a GA, and it's like,
Yeah. It's great seeing the output of a player, but it's not the be all and end all of whether they're
it's not conclusive, is it? It's like VAR.
No.
It's just not conclusive. It's part of it.
You can have a striker that plays like an amazing game, but doesn't score a goal and doesn't assist anything. They're supposed to be scoring goals. That's their main job, but there's so much else they can be doing. And you can win a game 4-5-0 where they facilitated loads of it. And there'll be players going, see, another game where he didn't score.
Don't get any fantasy football points for that, though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the FPL thing. Maybe that's
it. Might be.
Some of it is.
The takeover from FPL. So like I say, maybe it's a bit of that's coming into the whole thing that's taking over from any kind of eye test whatsoever.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that it's across all sports. Any sports that has that fantasy element to it in the background, people will use that as backup for analysis, which you never have to watch a game if that's your analysis, really, which I suppose saves you a lot of time anyways, if not
yeah, for sure.
10-minute stat sheet, don't bother me.
Maybe they just need to bring CFAX back for them, and and then it's just a printed screen. You just have a 1980s printer underneath printing out CFAX pages.
Maybe, that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, we didn't need to watch the game. That's how we used to watch games. Along with an advertisement for a holiday that probably didn't even exist. But there was no Ryanair back then. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on the Partey performance last night. What did you make of that?
Strange one with him. Like, I think the two games against Madrid he was excellent, but I think last night, like them all last night, they kind of got into this game where they're like, this is just a bit of a pain. I think there was a lot of players kind of going, this is just a bit of a nuisance before the real game next week. So a lot of them just went through the motions and let's just get out of here without getting injured and be ready. Now, he's obviously unavailable for the first leg anyways, but I think that when 2, 3, 4 start thinking about next week's game, it just goes through the whole squad. And I think that was a large part of what happened last night. It was just an element of, let's just get through this, go through the motions. Hopefully we win the game. So, as you said, Sparks, we put ourselves ahead twice. And Palace weren't exactly screaming the house down that they were going to get an equaliser until Saliba's mistake that basically gifted them the second goal. As you said, Callum, excellent finish by Mateta. But in terms of Partey,
was it that good though? I mean, it was an open goal essentially.
Yeah, you'd expect a striker to score it.
Yeah.
You would expect it.
It's from distance, and he pings it over underside of the bar. Like
an open goal.
Yeah, but Ray Wright, if he can still reach it, if it's not dinked out, he still has to get that right. I still think from that distance, making sure you're putting it where it needs to go. There's plenty of players who have missed that, I think.
I just didn't find it that
impressive. I think plenty's an exaggeration.
Huh?
Plenty of players is an exaggeration.
Yeah, I mean,
in fairness, he did the hard work before he got the ball in terms of having a look to see where Raya was. So as soon as he got the ball, he knew exactly this is a goal. Because once I get any good contact on this at all whatsoever, it's going into the net because the keeper's out of position.
It's the Saliba mistake that kind of creates that. And he has done it a couple of times, Saliba, where he has a momentary lapse of concentration. If there's one weakness in his game, I think it is his concentration. He plays to a really elite level at so much stuff, but every now and then he just switches off for a second.
Yeah. Do you think the game comes too easy to him at times?
Yeah.
I personally, I think that it's not only because he was taking it easy. It's either all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's either 100% or I can't bother.
But he did the same for the goal for
Real Madrid,
didn't he? Just had that moment of just switching off, wasn't looking around him.
Yes.
Just kind of momentary lapse of judgment. And I have seen him do it a few times where he kind of has this similar, just this little moment where he forgets. And it might be because he plays the game so effortlessly. Yeah. Like he does so much that is so difficult in such an easy way that perhaps occasionally he just forgets that he does need to keep it turned on. And I don't know, I wonder if someone like Gabriel next to him who's very vocal might help keep him more
keeps him tuned in.
Yeah, I think that does help because obviously Gabriel has turned into that that kind of leader figure, isn't he? That literally just bellows out, and Saliba's not that player, is he? He kind of he does not the do, but he doesn't really make it vocal. But Gabriel has definitely turned into that as well. Yeah. But yeah. Obviously, we're missing him as well at the minute. So, obviously, other reasons why we're kind of resting players. But, yeah, for me, Partey was awful the first half. And it was like, I don't know what, you know, sometimes when you just don't get that little bit of first control and then every single thing, because you're not bothered about it, everything just rebounds to the opposition. And it's just like, oh, God.
I sometimes think when Partey has a bad game, though, he has a real bad game.
Yeah.
I don't think he had the whole game wasn't bad, I don't think. The second half was much better. It wasn't perfect, but it was much better.
I think because of the way he plays, if he's getting it wrong, it looks bad and it creates bad situations because of the kind of role he plays, and that, because a lot of his game is about kind of, I'll just touch it, use my touch to open some space and then release the ball, or I'll just play a little pass over there. When he's getting that kind of stuff wrong, it very quickly is kind of a turnover of possession in bad places. It looks awful, and it kind of highlights that he's having a bad game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely more prominent that he has a bad game than when he has a good game. But well, we're going to go where you wanted to go anyway, then, because I thought Odegaard had a reasonable game. I thought most people.
He seemed to be one of the few that was actually trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Martinelli was busting a gut, but I thought Odegaard was trying to make things happen. He did have a few wayward passes, but on the scheme of things, I thought it was probably, well, I mean, even in the Madrid game, I thought he played pretty well. But
Well, it's funny because in the Madrid game, you look after the game and you look at the ex-professionals discussing the game, and they're all talking about what a good game he had. Yeah. They're all sitting there going, what a brilliant game he played. Look how the important role he played. And then you look at fans, and fans are going, see, he never turns up in these important games. And you go,
yeah,
there's such a difference in how people watch him play football.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
There's a real kind of disconnect between some people watch him and all they're seeing are when he tries a pass that doesn't work. Oh, look, he just keeps giving away the ball. Well, okay, but you've made him essentially the prime creator in your team. So if he can't give away a pass trying to make something happen, you're going to pass it around and you're all going to go, what's this boring no penetration football that we're playing? So you have to be willing to let someone lose the ball sometimes trying to make something happen. And
there's a lot of no winning, isn't there, in our fan base of most people.
Everything's a zero-sum game.
Yeah, everything.
I mean, people seem to have made their mind up with Odegaard as if he's right. That's it. He's not been as good as he should be, and therefore that's it. He's rubbish, and we should get rid of him, and we should replace him. And it's so over the top.
Do you, just thinking on that, do you think there's an element of the fact that a lot of the fan base want Rice as captain, and the fact that Odegaard is captain, they're going,
I don't.
That's an issue as well.
Helps because I think people think they don't want him to be captain, and there's definitely an element of that. Well, he's not a captain because that comes up a lot in the discussion. Yeah, but he's supposed to be captain. Yeah, all right, but ignore that for a minute and just look at the performance and what you're seeing. And it's like against Ipswich, and everyone keeps saying to me, yeah, but it's just Ipswich. Well, against Ipswich, he was brilliant in that game. I know it was Ipswich and it was against 10 men, but I think he recorded the 5th most successful passes into was it into the opponent's penalty area or into the final third or one of those stats that shows that you've been just peppering passes into the dangerous areas non-stop throughout a game. And the first interesting thing about it is it was in the last decade or something. And the first interesting thing was the only 4 players above him were all previous Arsenal players: Ozil, Fabregas, and Jorginho. And there was him. And you go, okay, yeah, it's just Ipswich. But in 10 years, there's only 4 players who are being more dominant in that kind of aspect of the game than he was on that night. There's plenty of other good players and good teams who have come up against worse opposition during that time and not delivered to that level. So yeah, it's a game that you would expect him to dominate, but it shows the level that he can play to is much better than most other people can when he's on form. And the other really interesting stats that kind of came out after that game, and then I looked a bit more in detail to see what else I could find on it, was the first 2 that Opta put out were that he's completed this season in the league more through balls than any other player. And that's not per 90, that is total completed through balls for the league this season. And he's missed 25% of the games. Like that to me, I was like, that's insane when you're considering the person second is Bruno Fernandes, who's one behind him, but has played essentially the whole season and has been like the main creator and has had a role in United where he's allowed to lose the ball as much as he likes. He can just play those passes as often as he wants.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, for a large part, they've struggled to finish, haven't they? So that he probably puts a lot of passes in that don't actually get finished. But you could argue the same with Arsenal. It's
about someone getting on the end of them. Essentially, someone does have to kind of be there. But it's when you kind of look at that, the amount of football he's missed, you would expect him to be a mile away from stats like that. The creative stats, the players who have been ever present in Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, these teams that are all up near the top, you would expect their key creative players to all be ahead of someone who's missed 25% of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was just
and that one wasn't even just for midfielders. That was through balls for any player, full stop. And then the other one was about passes into the penalty area, I think was the second, which was for midfielders. I'll pull it up and make sure I'm giving the right stat.
Also, you've got a guy
final third passes. So most final third passes completed for any midfielder in the league this season, and that's on pure numbers. That's not per 90. That's pure numbers.
You've also got to take into account that we're set piece FC, right? So we don't score any outfield goals. They're all set pieces.
Yeah, but this is it. But our creative player has completed missing a quarter of the games. Completed more passes in the final third than any other midfielder. That's ahead of your Palmers and your Fernandes and again, that's the pure numbers. That's not a per 90 stat that is like, oh yeah, but no, he just played 10 games and therefore that could be biased. No, that's the pure numbers, despite missing that level. Those two jumped out at me as just crazy. I can't believe that he's actually at that point, having missed so much football. So I looked at some of the percentiles, which were based on the per 90 stats for this season, and he's 99th percentile for progressive passes. He's 99th percentile for passes into the penalty area, 96th for progressive carries, and 96th for expected assists. So for a lot of the creative metrics and for the metrics that kind of come just before the final action, he's basically still the best or just below the best.
Yeah.
And it's you kind of go, you can't be that angry with him for having a season that's below his standard if it's still better than almost anyone else. It's like saying Messi's having an off season. He's only gone and scored 30 goals this season. He's just really poor. We should sell him. Like, you just wouldn't do it. And it's kind of like that with Odegaard. He's not playing to his full capacity. There are other stats which aren't good enough. Like his overall pass completion is a lot lower than it has been before. So I think he's giving away the ball more. So he is making some more mistakes and not quite in the same rhythm that we're used to seeing him. Overall his goals has been a bit lower than they have before. So there are stats that aren't as good, but there's so much that is still to an elite level, and you kind of go, well, okay, rather than being the best in his position this year, he's like sitting in at around fourth or something, and you go, that's not the end of the world. That's not, we can sell him and just buy someone else who's going to replace him. And I just think this consistent need to bash him and use him as the scapegoat. I see comments coming up like, we need to take him off. He's playing against us. We'd be better with 10 men. And I'm like, it just blows my mind. Like, he's still one of the very best at what he does, even when he's not at that really, really crazy level that we know he can get to.
Yeah, especially when he's not Sterling on the pitch.
Yeah, if you look at it, Saka's missed a load of games, Martinelli's missed time, Havertz has missed a load of games, Jesus has missed time. So he's very rarely, if ever, has played consistently with the same front three ahead of him to create and build those chemistries with those guys. So it's another thing that has to be considered, as I say, context around all this, that if you're playing with the same players week in, week out, you know what run they're going to make. You know when to give that ball to the player because you can trust them to make the run you expect them to run. When you're playing with a different right winger every other week, or a different left winger every other week, or a different striker, you're second guessing yourself. As that creative force, you're going to second guess what needs to happen because you're not used to it. Like, Ranieri won't always make the same run as Saka. Trossard won't ever make the same run as Martinelli because they're two completely different players. Mourinho and Havertz probably won't make the same run either, and Jesus won't make the same run as either of those two. So from a creative point of view, when you're playing with a different, I suppose, finisher ahead of you every other week or a different combination, it can't be easy to just click into gear and go, I'll just create the exact same chance for Ranieri as I did for Saka before he was out for 3 months. So I think it's something to be factored in really when you're considering Odegaard's season. The fact that the front three have been basically, at least one of them has been out pretty much since I think Saka got injured around November, December time. So and before that, Odegaard himself was out from October to November. So from October to early December, I think. So we've he's never really got the opportunity this season, as opposed to last season where we were able to keep our attackers fit, to play with the same group of guys for 10, 12 games in a row. That just hasn't happened at all this season. So that definitely...
I think that's been a huge, huge impact. And if you look at the players, very good players that come in, because it's not all just, Sterling comes in and I think Odegaard looks and he goes, I just don't think I'm even going to pass to him. I'm just going to turn around and try and do something else. But the good players that come in, Nwaneri, he's absolutely brilliant, scored a load of goals, brilliant breakthrough season. But positionally, he regularly looks like he's not quite sure where he's supposed to be. And if you're not sure where you're supposed to be, the other players can't be sure where you're going to go.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
There's a definite one there where I can see that having an impact. Timber and White play very different. I think we spoke about this on Tuesday. They play very different styles as a right back, which means that the shapes are not what he's used to in terms of how he's going to play there. He developed a brilliant relationship with Havertz before the two of them were injured. They started to really. I thought it was one of the things I thought when he first came was that the two of them would complement each other well, and they started to really develop an understanding of how each other played. Then you have Odegaard out, then you have Havertz out, and we don't really get to see that this season. So I think with that added in, that's got to have like a massive impact on your overall effectiveness. And let's not forget, and people love it when I say this, that he has had a baby, and it does make a massive, massive difference to your life. Not just the tiredness, but just the change in mentality, the random bits of worry, all kinds of stuff that you've never dealt with before. And I think for quite a young man to be going through that whilst also having lots of expectation on him, I'm sure that will have played with his mind or his physicalness. Look how skinny he looked for so long when he came back.
He did look very gaunt, didn't he? Just yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that has gone on for him this season, and to still be producing the underlying numbers that are kind of as good as they are. I just think we need to have patience with him. I expect next season he'll be firing on all cylinders and be, back to what we expect.
Yeah, a quick side note on that. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah came back and he got a bit of reception from the fans as well, which was kind of always nice to see. I don't know if you kind of partake in that kind of thing, but we always try to kind of give a reception to past players. Not all of them get the same reception, but most of them.
Some get a nicer reception than others. Yeah.
They're not all that way, but yeah, most of them are. Most of them get a decent kind of reception on there, don't they? But
absolutely,
yeah, so nice to have him back. I don't know if you've seen any of the stories that kind of come out today, but there are a few flying around that kind of pre-transfer window kind of things going on. Don't know how much is PR and how much is just clickbait or just general stuff. But there's an article come out today from Play Goal basically saying that Huijsen is available for 50 million release clause, and that it can be paid in installments as well, 3 installments apparently, which is always nice with a release clause because normally it's in full. Where do you see him going?
Left-sided centre back. Suppose United will be looking. They're looking for anybody, I suppose. Spurs, it depends what happens with their 2 centre backs. If Van de Ven
Romero wanted to go, didn't he? But
yeah, definitely. And Van de Ven, if he wasn't injured all the time, I'd say a top club would be coming looking for him. But yeah, Huijsen, I think all the top clubs really will be looking for him. He's young and he's been absolutely fantastic for Bournemouth this season. Who'll eventually get him? Look, Liverpool are just after signing Van Dijk to a 2-year extension of 400 grand a week, but I'm sure they're going to start thinking long term soon. They're not going to leave it as a case where in 2 years' time Van Dijk's 35 and they've nobody behind them to come in. So I would imagine they will probably, especially for 50 million. 50 million these days it's not astronomical money. Plus, they didn't spend it all.
Do you think for that money though that he has to be a starter? Or do you think he can be a backup? Because obviously, if he's a backup, we could do with certainly do with a backup, and I'm sure we'd be prepared to pay 50 million quid.
I don't think that the money itself dictates whether a player should be starting or a backup. I think it depends on the squad you've got and kind of what stage the squad's at. Like if your squad is kind of almost complete and you just need a couple of backup players to make sure, spend 50 million on a centre back, no problem. Keep them on the bench. Like when City do it, but their squad is brilliant. You go, all right, that's fine. You don't need to. Your team is winning the quadruple. Well, you don't necessarily need to replace any of those players, but you might need a bit of depth. You're selling off one of your other players who's fed up with being on the bench for a couple of years, buying another one. I kind of see that's not an issue. Where it's an issue is if it stops you spending the money elsewhere on players who should be starting. That's when it becomes a problem. Like if we go, it's fine. We've signed a striker, we signed a left winger, we've got our midfield sorted, and then they go, yeah, let's get some depth at the back. Spend however many millions you want as long as you've sorted it out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, a lot of teams will be attracted purely by the instalment kind
Chelsea
of.
Probably try and buy him.
I'm trying to buy everyone else.
It's a very plausible situation, isn't it, for Chelsea? Because obviously, if they've got that 50 million split over 3 years, and even if it does or doesn't work, 18 months, 2 years time, they're selling to Real Madrid for 80 million, say. Yeah. They've got that on the balance sheet. That is literally their prospect at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Is kind of trying to make some money on him. Whereas an Arsenal, say, if he wanted to come into Arsenal, we'd want him for the long term.
Yeah. If he came in with us, I think it would be with the idea that, because I do think this is a possibility at some point, that Gabriel will be attracted by the Saudi money because they keep coming in for him. And it's got to be appealing to you. Like I know these people are millionaires, but money talks. And if it's that much of a jump, we say, we can pay you 200 grand. And he goes, yeah, but I can get 400 there and I don't pay tax on it. So I'm earning 4 times the amount.
That's the thing. It wouldn't be in the papers every other window if there wasn't something to it.
Yeah, there was definitely something to it last season, wasn't there? When early part of last season when he got dropped and such like, and it was a big thing that he wasn't playing because of blah. But we all kind of knew he kind of got head turned by money, and I think Arteta even came out and said himself that show you're committed and you'll get the games.
Yeah.
So he's obviously gone, well, you need to tell me whether you want to stay or go. If you tell me whether to stay, then you can play. If you tell me you want to go, then I ain't playing you. As simple as that, isn't it? But
so I could see space for a left-sided centre-back to, over the course of a couple of years, get the opportunity to kind of step in, because I could see Gabriel eventually going.
Yeah, so like when he's 28, something like that. That's as in Gabriel.
Yeah, if we win, let's say we were to win the league next season, or let's say win the Champions League this year, and we went and won the league next year. Dream scenario for us. But if he's done it where he's won a couple of trophies and he's got, I won in Europe, I got my European trophies, I've seen the project hit that point. For a player who's been head turned by the money previously, I could see him going, yeah, I'll cash in now. That's fine. I did the big thing.
Time to push my chips to the middle of the table. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's something I can see happening as well. And the Saliba thing, I'm not sure that has legs, to be honest. I don't think
he's going anywhere.
I don't think he's going anywhere for quite a long time, to be honest. And maybe there's a bit of hopium in there. I don't know, but it certainly seems it seems like he's settled where he wants to be, and he has no issue being here. And yeah, I get it's a different knock and all this lot with Real Madrid and stuff, but I mean, a lot of that is just rumor at the minute. So it's kind of we deal with it as and when that comes actually comes knocking. Yeah.
So Saliba is. You can tell when he talks in interviews that he's very happy at the club. He supported the club as a kid. He has got that connection to the club, and when we score, whoever scores, it is like watching someone in the crowd.
He goes nuts.
He loses. He absolutely loses it. Like he has to be reined in by the Rice will be grabbing him calm down, because he's just losing it that we've managed to score. And I think he has that connection with the fans, with the club. And although that is not the be all and end all for football players, I do think if you're feeling happy, you're comfortable, they're earning a good wage, and we start winning some stuff. Saliba's one of those that I could see doing a bit of a Van Dijk and going, I could go elsewhere. But I'm kind of happy and settled where I am, key part of the team, and we are winning
Yeah, so long as we're doing something. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think so as well. I think it's literally while ever we're pushing, whatever that means. I think he'd be okay so long as we're showing ambition to do it.
Yeah.
If the board aren't showing ambition, then he'll look away to somebody else that is actually showing ambition. So yeah, I can see that. Another report coming out today that that Zubimendi is expected to become an Arsenal player. I actually expect it to be done as soon as the La Liga season is over. In fairness, I think there's been a lot, and I mean a lot of groundwork done on this one, and they're still talking about the player needs convincing. The player needs. I don't think so. I think it's all done. I think Marino is also a facilitator in it because they're very good friends. Thoughts on whether he will come in and whether you think he'd be a good addition to the squad.
Yeah, it looks like he will come in. From all the noises that are being made, it looks like he will come in. Fact of the matter is, Jorginho's out of contract, so we definitely need at least one. Partey is out of contract as well. Now I know there's talks that there seem to be progressing towards getting a new contract done with him, but
one at a time.
But yeah, so he's a very good player, Zubimendi. Anyone who saw him in the Euros last summer will acknowledge that when he came on in that final. For Rodri, Spain didn't miss a beat at all. Very impressive player. Haven't seen a lot of him with Sociedad this season, but by all accounts, he's had another good season with them. So yeah, I'd certainly welcome the signing. As I said, we will need midfield reinforcements come the summer, definitely. So if we could get him in, I think that'd be a fantastic addition.
Yeah, I think he'll be a brilliant player added to the squad. I think he's been sort of spoken to by a few of the big clubs. Liverpool obviously wanted to go in for him. It seems that he sort of said, I'm already talking with Arsenal and that's where I'd rather go. They seem to get kind of batted away. There's the Real Madrid rumours, don't know how true they are, whether they've actually shown interest or whether his agent talked to make sure he gets the best deal at Arsenal, who knows. But there's clearly been interest from kind of top teams in going for him. And when you watch him play, he's quick kind of with both feet and he's quick at progressing the ball. So he will kind of, when it comes to transitions and when it comes to space opening up, he's quite quick at just playing it out and has a good passing range. So although there's kind of people say, oh no, he seems a bit slow, I don't think that is really his game. He's not slow with his feet. So he might have a bit, not have the same pace other players do, in terms of full pelt running, but in terms of the way he plays very quickly, and I think that will work really well in our midfield, particularly if Partey does go. I think Zubimendi adds that forward passing and that quick pressing transition play that we will otherwise be lacking. So yeah, I think yes, it will happen, and I think he'll be a fan favourite pretty quickly next season.
Yeah, if he, I've wanted him for years, to be honest. For about 2 years, I watched him play, and when we were first in for him like 3 years ago, I was like, yeah, I want him at Arsenal, and I was absolutely devastated when all the reports and the PR basically were saying that Liverpool were going to get him, and he quashed that in like 2 days or something. He was like, I've heard these rumors and they're just nonsense rumors. It's not happening. But he's from the Basque region as well, which is it's not ideal for Real Madrid because the Basque players don't go to Real Madrid. There's only be one or two. But I did message Ben Jacobs on the reports of Real Madrid putting in a bid, and he said no, it's just projection. He said basically because Ancelotti's essentially going to be out of a job. This is before Ancelotti was officially out of a job at the end of the year. He basically said that it's projection that Xavi Alonso will basically get the job, and he likes the player. So it's pure projection, basically.
10. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So yeah, I think it's all the groundwork's done, and I think it's just a case of the only reason that they can't do it now is literally they just have to turn up with a bag of cash to the La Liga officers, and then you own the player. But obviously, it's in the middle of the season. He's literally got to do that himself. You've got to give that money to the player. The player's got to take it to the La Liga officers, and basically, yeah, you're not their player anymore.
Yeah, I'm buying my way out of my contract. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously that's a thing, but yeah, something you touched on there as well. Obviously, Partey is in talks apparently of being extended. Firstly, do you think that should happen? I believe that he's been offered a year and he's after a 2-year extension. Somebody said on a report today that he actually wants improved terms from that as well, which
I'm sure he's earned that.
I wouldn't be okay with that. I would like, well, you either take a wage cut for 2 years, or you might get an improvement for 1 year, but you're not getting an improvement for 2 years. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, look, this is the first season he's been at Arsenal where he's actually been available more often than he's been out injured. So that's obviously something that the club should factor into. He hasn't earned improved terms, in my opinion, yet. Anyways, look, he's had a good season this season when he's been available. And more often than not this season he has been, in fairness to him. The last 2 to 3 seasons, he's missed as many games as he's played. So to give him improved terms, he's 31 as well. It's not exactly, I remember someone saying this, you give a guy a contract for what he's going to do, not as a reward for what he's done. So he's 31. Is he going to be getting better over the next 2 years? Probably not. So it's a big risk handing out big contracts to players on the wrong side of 30. It's not something we've really done under Arteta. We've kind of gone, and Edu before Berta came in, is we've kind of gone for younger players on the way up rather than rewarding players essentially who their best years are probably behind them. In fairness to Partey, I think at 31, generally speaking, your best years are behind you. In a football sense. So I think it's a risky strategy handing out a 2-year contract to a guy who's been injured for a lot of the time over the last couple of seasons that we have had him. So to me, it's a big risk. Again, look, I know where the club are coming. You don't want to lose 2 midfielders in the one window, both on a free if you can avoid it. But it's a risk, I think, to be turning out. I presume if he's looking for improved terms, you're talking something like 300 grand a week for a player who'll be 32, 33 potentially if it's a 2-year deal by the end of his contract. There's no sell-on value there either. So you're not going to be able to make any return from selling them. So to me, if you're offering him 300 grand a week, it's not good business sense either, to be honest.
No, I can't see. Improved wages, I think, has got to be a no. Like, I can't see that offering him more money at this point is. I mean, I know that he's going to be on a free, so he's got kind of some leverage when it comes to negotiation. But as you say, with his injury record at his age, I'd think if you're going to offer him a deal, even if you say to him, you're staying at your current wage. Now, I've seen it suggested there might be a 1+1 situation. So there's a year, but there's a built-in extension that can be triggered to turn it into a 2-year, whatever the parameters on that are, whether it's if he plays a certain number of games, whatever this is the kind of causes the extension, potentially a 1+1, which I'm not completely averse to. I was kind of expected he'd go because I thought he wouldn't accept the kind of pay cut we would want him to take to stay. Now, if they're talking about it again, it means one of two things. Either maybe he is willing to take the wage drop, or we think we're going to spend quite a lot of money on less players than we maybe thought we were going to before, and we're thinking, oh, we might need the depth. Let's keep him. Or it's just because Berta really likes him. He's got the connection with Atletico Madrid. It might be that he's come in and said, no, I think we should be keeping him. Let's have a chat with him and see what can be done. And maybe what they thought was a closed book previously became a possibility that otherwise hadn't been. And now they're thinking, yeah, actually, if we can keep him around for a year or two whilst that midfield changes and adapts to Zubimendi coming in and potentially seeing, does Nwaneri eventually go in mid, come inside? Does Dauman come through and kind of make an impact enough to go into the first team? Do we end up buying, a more attack-minded midfielder at some point that builds up the numbers? Maybe they're thinking it's something has changed that allows them to ease that rather than diving into it. And for me, Berta is the only one. That's the key thing that's changed. And straight away, there were rumours that he really likes Partey and that might be something he looks at. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a bit of a U-turn on that being a possibility.
To be honest with you, I think with Berta coming in, I think all options are back on the table anyway. I don't think it's just with Partey. I think it's with everybody. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Zinchenko leaves. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Kivior leaves. Shout out to his performance actually last night, because I thought he played particularly well. He did have one moment where he kind of went over and he clamps the ball, but that's been nitpicking of what was.
That header, though, can we just take a second just to appreciate the Kivior header? It could be said as multiple times. This that header was a thing of beauty from that range.
Yeah.
That header was just.
We couldn't believe it. We're the other end of the pitch.
Yeah.
And we're like, how's that gone in? Yeah, it just was literally just like it just looped around. And when you think that every Palace player is a unit,
Absolutely,
they are absolute units. They're like blowing basketball players, and and he got that in like that. It was just like, that doesn't make any sense. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And nobody's really talking about that header at all. But to be honest, but yeah,
I thought there were just going to be replays of it all over social media today, and because no one cares about that Palace game, there's been nobody's
bothered, are they?
Yeah.
But then the way some people have spoken about it, it's still like we lost 4-0. But there we go. But yeah, the reason that that kind of led me to say that the all options back on the table, Jorginho is taking his coaching badges.
Yeah,
and he was supposedly going to Brazil, wherever he's going to continue there to do whatever. And although it is from a journalist from The Sun, I will caveat that. It says here that Jorginho will be happy to sign a rolling 1-year contract at Arsenal. Now, if that's an option as well, then do you take Jorginho for a year, let Partey go? Is that the option to do? Because obviously you need some kind of transition. I know he can't do 2 games a week, but he's a coach as well. So he's obviously an influence in the dressing room as well. He's won things. So is it really naive, I guess, to let a player like Jorginho go when you've got the option of the 1-year rolling?
It is a difficult one because I when you see him now, he's not quite even what he was last season. I don't think. I think you can see the decline happening with Jorginho.
Well, I'm not talking about even on the pitch.
No, I know. I think, but behind the scenes, I think he's clearly. You see him on the sidelines. He's clearly very interested in the kind of coaching, tactical side of the game. And I think he kind of works as an extra voice for Arteta because he's wanting to learn and he's wanting to kind of pass that on. A lot of experience, good head to have around the place. But if you're thinking only one stays, the trade-off of that is I don't think Partey is like that at all around the dressing room. That is the total.
No.
They're kind of the opposite personalities, I think. But Partey can still do a job on the pitch. And if we have injuries like we did this season, we might have Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, and then let's say kind of Rice is out for a period of time. Are we going, okay, Marino can come in at first and we've still got an all right. I mean, what if we get 2 injuries? Then Jorginho's playing week in, week out. Because we don't have we don't have many young players who will play in midfield. I know everyone will say Lewis Skelly, but I just don't see it yet. So I'm kind of going, if you were to pick between the characters for the club, Jorginho is the obvious person. And if it was to be that 5 games a season kind of person, then he's who you'd keep. I think it's a no-brainer for the trade-off in the ability to the.
He can do more than that, though, can't he? I mean, he's not he's not a 2 game a week player, but he's certainly a 1 game a week kind of. He can do a game a week, can't he?
I think if he was playing consistently in the team, even if it was once a week, I think some of his deficiencies would more often.
I don't know. I mean, he's never been quick anyway, so he can't lose a yard of pace, can he?
No, he can.
Jesus. Yeah. Never been. Never been
a massive
that
discrepancy in wages between the two of them, I would imagine as well, which I suppose has to be factored in too.
Isn't Partey about 250 and is Jorginho 100 and something?
I'm gone.
Well, Sparks has it.
Jesus. Have a minute. Right, Partey's obviously on 200k. Is he even on my list? Oh, Jorginho's on 110.
Yes, big difference.
To put that in context, Jorginho is on the same amount as Kieran Tierney.
And they're both on slightly more than Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel's going to get an improved deal, though, isn't he? I mean, yeah.
I expect his wages will double.
Yeah, he's got to at least double that, hasn't he? Basically. So, yes, I definitely expect that to happen. But yeah, so the biggest thing he's got to do is the renewals, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on what other business is planned for the summer as well. It really depends what plans Bircher has really got. We're all thinking it's centre forward, left wing, Zubimendi comes in, Garcia, the goalkeeper, gets done, and then maybe if there's time left, a centre back. We don't know. He might be looking, and we might all of a sudden sign 2 midfielders, and he doesn't bother with
4 left backs.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, you laugh about the number of left backs. We were stuck without a left back the whole to the start of the season for 5 games.
Yeah,
we didn't have a left back.
Yeah. That's it.
We had the right back at left back.
That's it. Lewis Skelly's been a big surprise to everyone as well.
Well, there you go. So obviously he's added to the left back talent pool, if you like. But yeah, we don't know if he's going to stay there or if he's actually going to push into midfield, because everybody's saying we need a midfield signing. What if he's the midfield signing?
I don't think he is. No. He's still young. He can be forgiven slightly more in the left back position than he would if he was actually the main central midfielder. And also, he's so good at coming in field as an inverted kind of left back that we don't lose any of our midfield and just gain him. And there's not many players who can step up so effortlessly into midfield and look like a midfielder.
Yeah, but after we spoke about this on Tuesday, I kind of thought as well, what if you play different with Zubimendi coming in and he doesn't do the sit-in role? Then don't we need a conventional left back rather than an inverting left back?
No, I think we'll still always look to create overloads in the middle and use that as our way of because that helps us to pin people back in the middle of the field. And I think it's too integral to the way that Arteta sees the game.
Part of his philosophy, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't see him switching back to a more traditional, not on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think it would be on both sides. I think we've got an inverter and we've got a conventional on each side now. So I just don't think that Timber should play when Lewis Skelly plays, and
yeah, I'd much rather White and Lewis
yeah,
Skelly and
yeah,
and then
exactly.
more
So
Calafiori,
yeah,
Timber.
yeah. So when you got White and Calafiori playing, you got basically two bombers. They're basically bombing down the wings, and Timber and Lewis Skelly are the inverters, aren't they? So
Although with Calafiori, you're sometimes never sure what he's doing. He can just appear anywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah,
he's
but
a centre back by trade, isn't he? It's
I think he was brought in to do the centre back cover.
100%.
So
Yeah.
100%.
I expect him to be centre back cover and left back cover, but he's just been more needed at left back, and he done right back as well. But he done right back quite well as well, to be honest. So yeah, he did well with that. I don't know if you've seen that Andre Santos. Why?
The left back from Brazil. He used to play for us many moons ago.
No, not that one.
Oh, okay.
I was just having PTSD flashbacks.
No. But this is why I mention it, because obviously we all have PTSD. But Chelsea have Andre Santos, the 20-year-old, and he's exploring offers apparently. Could be available for between 45 to 50 million quid.
Looks really promising. Lots of really positive stuff about him. It seems a typical Chelsea hoover him up and never play him kind of signing, though.
Yeah. I mean, I heard today that obviously people, a certain Chelsea fan basically going, oh yeah, but we're definitely going to want like 80 million for him and stuff like that. And you're like, A, he's hardly played.
Yeah.
And B, this is who you are now. You buy players, you get them on the payment terms, and then you sell them to make the influx of cash so that you can buy somebody else on payment terms.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That's literally what you do.
Rob Brighton's man.
You just turned into Brighton. You just turned into an expensive version of Brighton, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it's one to watch.
Be excellent if they don't make Champions League. It would just be so interesting to see how do they try to financially cope with that drop in income.
Have you heard the other report that come out today as well, with the Eden Hazard transfer?
Oh, something about Man United could have gotten, but they wouldn't pay the agent.
He was right on the cusp, like Willian when he signed for Chelsea, and he ended up bidding off Tottenham. The agent basically said that he wanted 7 million quid or 7 million euros, backhander basically.
Yeah.
And it came from one of Roman's offshore bank accounts. So it never come through FFP, it never came through this, it never came through that, it never came through the other. Literally just backhander.
I think there was a lot of that from Chelsea going on back in the day. I think that's how they got a lot of players that you otherwise would have thought were going elsewhere, or you didn't understand.
And Willian, so it's got to happen with Willian as well, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where does that leave Chelsea? I mean, why haven't they been investigated for this before, for a start off? And they just seem to get away with everything, don't they?
Yeah, I think since City came along, everyone forgets that Chelsea
are the ultimate.
Yeah, well, they were the ones who originally came in and started bending the rules and splashing the cash and doing things in a way that other people kind of turn their nose. Oh, what's this? This is ridiculous. What are you doing? They're the original ones that did that, and it was obvious. Roman Abramovich is not the sort of person that goes, "Oh, I can't have what I want. It's fine. I'll just kind of play by the rules." He didn't become who he is by playing by the rules. He's not, an upstanding member of society who, don't, if you're watching this, don't come and like throw me off a roof. But it's obvious how he got to where he is. No one gets to that kind of position without being a certain kind of person and being willing to do certain things. Why would anyone think, with a club like Chelsea that went from also the kind of like a bit of a nothingness, I won't say complete nothingness, but not really a club that's in the mix, to just winning everything and buying up all the best players and doing kind of this, and then not be anything dodgy happen? I like, surely all the way through you're all thinking there's definitely backhanders going off all over the place. There's definitely all kinds of dodgy backroom deals happening, all kinds of, you do this and we'll do that, and you know what I mean? To me, it was obvious that he's that kind of operator, and it was, the fact that it's coming out that was happening did not surprise me in the slightest.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's nothing we're not shocked by, but it's on the Premier League, isn't it, to do their job and actually.
Well, let's see if they can stop City first, because City are basically doing the same thing, keeping money off the books, making payments via other companies that were supposedly nothing to do with wages or to do with buying players or to, all that kind of, allegedly. I don't know. Just jump back.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the case and they can't make things stick and they can't sort things out, then they have to give, for me, they have to give Everton their points back. They have to give Forest their points back, and they have to go right. Okay, yeah, we have to pay them out, because you can't have a league where there's
different punishment,
punishments for the rules.
Yeah, but they're absolutely blessed, Sparks, that Everton or Forest didn't get relegated because of it. Because if that had happened, and then something City get away with it scot-free, the litigation that they'd have on their hands would be absolutely astronomical. Yeah. So they have been extremely fortunate that those two clubs survived.
Yeah, sure.
Because they would be suing them for big money. If they dropped down at City,
massive
City
money,
got away with the same thing.
Yeah, there was a deal with the Sheffield United thing, wasn't there? With I can't remember which club it was now. But yeah, there was dodgy result that they ended up suing for that.
Wasn't it West Ham with Tevez? When West Ham had Tevez, and they had the Tevez and Mascherano, and did the dual ownership or something along those lines, which wasn't permitted at all at the time.
Yeah,
West Ham did it anyway.
Yeah, I don't really know how they got away with that, to be honest.
No, but it was crucial. Tevez basically kept them up that season on his own. Sheffield United suffered, and as I said, they got some payout towards compensation for. But
you look now at the money involved compared to what it was at that point, and it's because you're going to have players that you lose because of clauses in their contracts. You're going to have the prize money you've missed out on, the Premier League payments, the broadcasting, the commercial deals. They won't be going for, this was the difference in prize money, or it'll be the full, this is the cost of what you did to us. It clearly isn't a rule. It would have been huge, and the integrity of the league would take a massive battering. It's one of those things where you then turn around and you go, you can't really moan about things like the Super League if this is the Tim Pot, organisation that you're running. So I think
for sure
they have to do something to City. I know everyone's going, it's gone quiet, and that means that they're now going to get away with it. I just don't see how. They have to do something. There has to be a points deduction for a start of some sort, because that's the precedent they've set already.
Yeah.
So it's not one that we think is a reasonable deduction for what they've done. That surely has to be part of some kind. They can't just give them a fine. That has to be part of.
Yeah, I agree, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I just don't, the way the Premier League are. I just don't see it. I just don't. Yeah, I don't trust the Premier League. I think that
if I was the Forest
owners, they do. It will be wrapped up in legalese for years, anyways, because that's what City have done with it. With this case, they've kicked it down the road again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Which means they're probably guilty. Let's be honest about it. Because if you're innocent, you have no need to do that. But you just get to hear it.
Really guilty.
And you get
because if you're slightly guilty, you just do what Nottingham Forest and Everton do, and you just go, yeah, all right, you caught us. We did do that.
That's
we'll take it on the chin. We'll get the points deduction, and we'll just.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, if you've got some kind of unequivocal evidence or whatever, you just go, right, okay, well, I've let you hold on long enough. Here you go. I'll take a slap on the wrist for the delaying of giving you it. But but if you don't have it, and it's got to this point and you don't have it, do you?
Yeah, there's no smoke without fire, and it definitely feels...
No, but like I say, I just don't trust the Premier League to deal with it the way.
I don't. If I was the Nottingham Forest owners, although you go, all right, we got a point deduction, and it's not like we got relegated, so it's not done anything like that. I'd be like, well, what difference did that make in terms of where we would have finished in the league? Well, I want that money back.
Yeah.
And what extra broadcast? How many more of our games would have been selected for TV coverage had we been?
Well, it's not even just that though, is it? It's like the people that missed out, or the teams that missed out by one spot to get in Champions League spaces.
Yeah.
When they qualified for Champions League.
Yeah.
You know, the team that's 1 point behind when they won the title. You know, it's all of that. But I just don't trust the Premier League to deal with it if it's even true or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, you've always got to make sure you drop an allegedly whenever you talk about
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to throw it around anyway, to be honest, because it just it makes you sound bitter and stuff like that. But I'm more bitter at the Premier League for not holding up all the rules for all the clubs. So that's all I want. I just want everybody to be held to the same set of accounts.
Yeah, everyone's on the same playing field.
Yeah, and that's it. And you know, and people go, you know, oh, you got voted into to League One, and you did this, that, and the other. Wasn't even born, mate. So there's not a lot I can do about that.
Nobody that's living now was born when that happened.
No,
realistically,
no. So it was 1913. I know I look old, but I ain't now.
yeah, exactly.
So I have no case to answer on that one. Much like crossing from south to north, you've read some kind of folklore in the local rag that basically goes, "You're a scoundrel because you did this." No, I didn't. The club did. I didn't do anything. I wasn't even born. Yeah, I wasn't even born when Spurs became actually part of North London. So yeah, we'll put that caveat in that as well. 1965, before you ask, and we were already in North London long before that. So there you go. Rightly or wrongly, you can argue whether it was right that we were in North London or not. But I watched another stream the other day, and the guy was going off and going geographically. And he's just like, no. Geographically, because it's on a map, yeah, which dictates what geographically is.
Yeah, it's kind of includes in the name.
It's geography.
Yeah,
it's geographically. If you're on a map to be in a certain area, then that's where you are. If it's not on a map and it says something different, then it's not what you say it is it? So even though they were basically saying, "Oh, it's part of Middlesex," he was like, "Yeah, but we never moved. The boundary moved." Yeah, that's what geographically means. That's literally what it does. You can just like at this point just go, "Yeah, are you sure?"
You'd think that any Spurs fans would have bigger problems to worry about.
Well, yeah, but they have to clarify the menial problem first, right? So clarify the menial problem, and then the bigger problems kind of take care of themselves, apparently. But there we go. Just correct something I said earlier on, but basically where I said that Nottingham Forest doesn't have a game in hand over Arsenal. They do. I was looking at a table that didn't have yesterday's result updated on it. So, yeah, Forest are 7 points behind us with the game in hand.
Okay.
So, yeah. But even so, I couldn't care less if I finish second, third, fourth, or fifth. To be honest with you,
I do.
I do to a point because I'll change that. I if we have a massive drop off and we're just dropping down like a stone because we're not bothered and whatever, then I care about it. Other than that, I don't.
Yeah, I think for me, there's two things. One is just out of pure pride. I always want us to finish as high as possible. Even in our rubbish years, I'd be there thinking, yeah, but we can finish 7th, not 8th. You know, like I always want us to be finishing as well as we can, always fighting for whatever is left to fight for. But the second thing is, I just can't bear the aggro if Arsenal don't. Like, the three-peat of second stuff is quite funny. It won't be if we don't even manage to get the second for a third.
You can't. They can't have both. They can't have both of them. Oh yeah, you messed up. You got a three-peat or something. Oh, you didn't even make the three-peat. No.
That is definitely how it will
go. You've set the agenda. You can't be changing the agenda now. No.
Yeah, I can't be doing that. And also, just for the project to feel like it's continuing with the rate of progress.
Yeah,
I think finishing second is important as a mentality thing for the players and for the fans to keep that kind of togetherness and that feeling of moving. We've not moved backwards. Yeah, all right. There might have been a slight kind of stalemate almost with the league, but we've kept that platform and we're pushing on from there. Second should be our new floor. I think I said this on Tuesday. Like, it shouldn't be our ceiling. It shouldn't be, oh look, they can only do second. It should be no. Second is now the lowest we do. When we're playing poorly, we finish second. You have to
But yeah, I agree with that as well. But how many points did we get last year?
A lot more.
89.
Say again.
89.
89. Right. Okay. So, yeah. So the whole thing of, oh well, you're still not good enough. Well, yes, but we have caveats this time, as we have had injuries. So everybody goes, oh well, you didn't have any injuries last year, and you didn't win it, and you've had injuries this year, and you've got less points. Yeah. The two go together. Yeah. Now, the people saying that we don't hold the club accountable, I was fuming with the club that I didn't get a striker, I didn't get a winger, I didn't get anything. Yeah. Forget January, because January is just a panic, because that would have been a panic buy, wouldn't it? Yeah. But in the summer, to not get those forward players and end up with Sterling, who we did think was going to be a decent addition, but
hasn't worked out.
Not. Less said about that, the better. Jesus, the football has left him. Anyway, but yeah, we called out the club, and everybody got the Forest fan, right? Weak fan mentality, right? He's basically saying, I'm like, what about your mentality when you're in the Championship then? Yeah. What about your mentality when you got relegated from the Championship? What about your mentality then? Why are you holding my club accountable and you don't hold your own club accountable? I don't understand. These people that do it, it just baffles me.
Yeah, but
they have enough problems of their own.
Yeah.
Palace fans been singing second again, ole. Ipswich fans did it. Ipswich. You're getting relegated.
Yeah, but Ipswich are just Stoke now, aren't they?
Not even Stoke. Stoke stayed in the league a couple of seasons.
They managed to.
Ipswich are a blink and you miss
another
it.
Injury with them.
See, for me, though, also we need to finish second because history is going to repeat itself, and we did it before under Wenger, and we went second, and then we went and won the double, and so second next season double. Here we go.
Oh no!
and it ruins the narrative for me if we don't finish.
You can't be too positive. It just oh god, it feels kind of puts all hopium on stuff, and it's just like oh my god, yeah. I can't
Listen, I'm willing to take the Pope died so we're winning the Champions League.
I did see that. I was quite. I thought it was quite good to be fair, but yeah.
If there's something there that makes me feel like maybe we will win something.
Yeah, the Pope was an Arsenal fan. He thought, well, the only way we're going to settle this is me going out.
Yeah,
that's the only way we're going to settle this one. Oh God! Right, kids, make sure you put a bet on Arsenal to win the league. See you in the next one. I'd be so mad. So mad if that conversation happened, wouldn't it? Oh dear. Yes. Right, yeah, I think we covered everything that we need to cover at the minute, but there we go. Callum, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. And Mark, thanks for being on again.
No problem not. You're at the game next Tuesday, Sparks, I take it?
Yes. Yes, it will take me another week to recover with my voice, no doubt.
Well, that's a hopefully. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
I mean, it's going to be either way, to be fair. It's literally just going to be mental. So, yeah.
So they're cheering or screaming in anger.
Well, one thing I did want to say, actually, because you know that in the lead up to the Madrid game, everybody was going, "Oh, you're going to put the roof on. We're going to make it animosity, the atmosphere really animus and so all that stuff." And I was like, I thought for our home game, I thought we made that like that. I actually thought it was really loud. I thought it was really hostile.
Yeah.
And I thought the fans did a really good job on that day, to be fair. So
100%.
I expect it to be the same against PSG, and hopefully we can get.
There's just been the news that the club have said no to
the AAT for saw that.
They've done what?
They've said no because there was 10 grand raised from Arsenal fans, weren't there, for the
for a TIFO display.
For a TIFO, yeah.
And the club have said no. So they're giving the money's all being returned to fans. But I'm sort of saying, does that mean
they're doing something?
They planned something that they think is more epic than that? Because it better.
I'd like to think so. Otherwise, they're just basically pissing an atmosphere away for the sake of.
Did you see the other one actually? You know, have you seen that Carl Burke that does the art stuff? He does the art stuff on Twitter and for the club and stuff. And one of the tifos, you know the tifo with Henri, the blown up tifo that was Henri coming out of the West Stand, I think it was. Do you remember seeing
last week or
from the Madrid game?
Yes, yeah.
He said, "Well, that's one of mine. It would have been nice to be asked." I was like, "What? Oh no! Imagine you've done this thing,
maybe,
and the next time you see it, it's exploded out the stand, and he didn't know anything about it."
Yeah. Maybe that's why the club have rejected it as well. If something has come off the back of that
maybe
they've gone, let's not get ourselves in trouble, we'll do something ourselves.
Yeah,
but it would be nice if the club said reasons are A, B, C, and D.
This is the reason why, and this is what we're going to do instead, because we understand this is all about the atmosphere. You
And it
can't have
has to
Arteta
happen.
come out in a press conference and say, you
Bring
need
your
to
shin
wear your
pads.
shin pads.
I thought that was epic, actually.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I did actually think it was epic, and I mean, some people will take it bloody literally. I can guarantee.
Yeah.
Full
But-
kit.
Yeah, so
Full
full
kit,
kit
yeah.
wankers.
Everyone
Yeah,
turn
to
off
do
full
that.
kit next
Yeah.
week.
Boots on and everything.
Coming into the stadium.
That is literally going to be it. I mean, there is a guy, I don't know if you've seen him, but he basically has a home and away kit sewn together every single year, and
Yes,
he literally goes to the games in that every single match, and you're just like, yeah,
Sales
credit
is
to
very
you, but it
important.
does look a bit sad, mate. I mean, I have to say, but yeah, credit to you. But there we go. Yes.
Perfect.
Well, I'm going to finish then with predictions for the PSG game. What we're thinking.
I'm thinking 2-0, but it is a long way away. So I reserve the right to change my mind if they get 3 or 4 injuries in their game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think we're gonna win that home game, and I think it could be 1 or 2-0 to us. I think they do struggle to score in the Champions League this season. They've struggled to score against the better defenses when they've come up against the better teams: Bayern, Liverpool, Atletico, us. They've either not scored or they've only got one. They've got very good attacking players, but I do think they've struggled in those kind of games. So I think the same thing might happen. And I think at home we'll get chances. So I'm going for a 1 or 2-0. I think.
We'll pick one or the other.
We'll go 2-0.
Okay, well, we're all going 2-0 then. But yeah, I thought 2-0 anyway, to be fair. But I realise that they now have Kvaratskhelia that we didn't have. That obviously people putting into oh well, you didn't play against Kvaratskhelia. He hadn't signed for the club yet, so no, we didn't. You're right. Apparently though, when we played against them and Barcola and Doué played and I can't remember who the other winger is. Dembele didn't play. Everyone said that they'd have them in their teams.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody picked them out as top players, and they still didn't score against us. So,
and this different version of PSG still can concede fairly heavily. If you look at their game
against Villa, only got
the Villa game, yeah, because they when they started getting attacked. Yeah, when they actually started getting attacked, they were on the ropes, and I didn't even see Kvaratskhelia when that was happening.
No, he was very poor in the second leg.
No, he's gone.
Having been outstanding in Paris. So.
Yeah.
I think if we control the midfield and don't allow them to transition quickly to those very good attacking players, similar to how we did with Madrid, I see it going a similar way.
Yeah, I think our wingers have got to be pinning back those fullbacks as well, though.
Yeah, Hakimi and
yeah, for sure. But we just actually before we do finish, that there's you were saying about Merino. Apparently there are doubts over Ben White and Mikel Merino, and they are being assessed.
Lovely.
I think Merino being out is now
a big thing.
Like no one would have thought that a few months ago, but now
no, for sure.
Merino being out is an issue.
It's massive.
That's a big issue if he's not going to be fit.
Hopefully,
he was.
Whether he was going to play midfield or up front, he was going to be a very important player in this game.
The thing is, as well, we don't know now what is PR and what's not, because obviously he likes to put these little spanners out into the domain.
Arteta likes to lie about injuries.
Yeah, he is. He is a proverbial liar, and to be honest, I quite like it.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think it's brilliant.
I actually quite like it. He's just basically messing with people, and people taking it literally and going, our manager said this, but he lies. Yeah, he does.
We know he lies.
Yeah.
Like, you'd want to be living under a rock not to realize he lies.
Yeah,
about
but he's doing it on purpose.
pretty much all the time.
He's just messing with you all the time, and you're just
Yeah.
falling for it.
He's
Every
sending
single
players
time.
who are injured to stand with the crutch hidden so that it looks like they're training.
Yeah.
They release old training photos and stuff to try and
Jorginho stood with 2 fingers on his rib to make it look like his ribs aren't broken.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. On that note, before we go into any more weird tangents, so yeah, we're gonna call it, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. Tuesday's the game, so probably more like Wednesday night. Might do one Monday if anybody's up for a Monday. I might do a show Monday and on the run up for the PSG game, just to try and milk the crowd a little bit. But there we go. So yeah, thanks to both of you again. I've been Sparks. This is Footy Corner. We're out of here. We'll see you again soon.